The world is changing, and nothing is changing faster than the climate. Events which usually occur over thousands of years are now happening within a decade. And for the most part, it's been caused by human activity. Of most concern are the excessively high CO2 levels caused by the combustion of fossil fuels. The challenges for Africa are deforestation, the elimination of waste, aging energy-intensive technologies, and ballooning population growth. The Nairobi-based United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, is tasked with enabling nations and peoples to improve their quality of life both now and in the future.
UNEP is playing a fundamental role in terms of carbon emissions, particularly with regards to the continent of Africa. We are working to ensure that governments and other stakeholders develop the competency in terms of providing leadership, as well as in developing partnerships in caring for a very vulnerable environment. UNEP is playing also a specific role in facilitating public-private partnerships.
In 2009, roughly $84 billion was allocated to 684 emerging market emission reduction projects. Of this, the entire African continent shared just 3%. Carbon trading, a market-based approach, provides economic incentives for reducing pollution. Compared to the developed countries of the world, Africa does not have a huge carbon footprint, but it is growing all the time. And the continent is likely to pay the highest price of all in the very near future. Just a 2-degree rise in temperature could cause up to 600 million people to go hungry. There is also pressure on governments across Africa to set down regulations that reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Clearly, there was a need to address these issues and find real sustainable African solutions. Green energy infrastructure projects can deliver the new livelihoods that Africa so badly needs. One solution was the establishment of the African Carbon Asset Development ACAD facility, a partnership between UNEP and its resource center, Standard Bank and the German government. ACAD partners with financial institutions through grant funding to develop local capacity, industries and markets on a sustainable basis.
Although undoubtedly climate change poses a great risk to Africa, we also saw that there were large untapped market opportunities for African companies and organizations to leverage climate change finance and carbon credit trading as a way to finance the activities to achieve value for themselves, for their communities, and for local economies.
My responsibility is in particular to manage a program which is called International Climate Initiative, where we fund projects in developing countries. ACAD is one of the first programs we agreed upon, and ACAD is in particular important because it plays a very important role in facilitating the carbon market. The innovative aspect of our program is that we are using revenues from the European trading scheme. This means the facilities and power stations in Europe, they have to pay part of their initial allowances for, and the revenues from that will be fueled back to a program like ours.
ACAD has already trained over 300 bankers on how to evaluate the potential of carbon projects and has already supported 14 to get to financial closure. The Nuru Lights project provides clean, affordable lighting solutions to rural communities in Rwanda. The lights can be recharged using solar or human pedal power, saving households up to $8 a month on fuel. The Lake Turkana wind power project harnesses the power of the wind to create energy. A new cogeneration installation at the IFM ferrochrome plant recycles waste gases to produce 140,000 megawatt-hours of energy. This state-of-the-art technology reduces 160,000 tons of CO2 emissions each year. The Bio2 Watt company is establishing South Africa's first commercial biogas project in Bronkhorstspruit a mere 40 minutes from Johannesburg.
My name is Sean Thomas. My company is Bio2Watt, and the project we're busy with, it's the Bronchosprayed Biogas project. It's basically a hole in the ground, like a swimming pool. The hole in the ground becomes your digester, where you feed in your waste streams and the anaerobic digestion takes place. And biogas is produced, and the main challenge is getting this project off the ground, and I think it's very much similar for other developers, was getting early stage funding. We initially used our own funding to get the project to where it was at, I'd say, beyond the desktop study, just before pre-feasibility. And then that's when the Ministry of Energy referred me to Ian Coe. At a later stage, we qualified for funding from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Finland, and also from ACAD and UNEP for the development of carbon credits.
The BioWatt project will generate enough clean energy from organic waste to power the equivalent of tens of thousands of households.
In the case of South Africa, for example, we have got major projects that are in the process of being approved, and we've approved them ourselves, where alternative sources of energy are going to be used, and these projects are commercially viable. We've approved over 10 billion rand for that purpose as Standard Bank.
But then we work at a bigger picture level. So we work in partnership with organizations like ACAD and the United Nations to say, is there something more we can do? So the partnership with ACAD is quite unique in this field and enables us to call on the deep knowledge, the reach of the United Nations, our banking presence in Africa, and in combination to really tackle some of the barriers to entry that have proved real constraints on developing more carbon projects in Africa. If we can break down those barriers to entry and we can start to get scale, that's when we'll really achieve success.
The city of Beira in northern Mozambique had a problem: how to dispose of the 200 tons of waste produced each day by its residents. At the same time, farmers suffered from low yields due to the non-availability of natural fertilizer. A company called Terra Nova realized they had the answer: convert all the waste into natural fertilizer.
My name is Flor Rura. My business is Terra Nova Limited. Terra Nova is recycling urban organic waste and making natural fertilizer. ACAD assisted me a lot for the pilot test phase and also for the writing of the project document of carbon credit, that is the PDD, and very soon will help me to make the accreditation of the carbon credit for the business.
Terra Nova, quite literally the new earth, is expecting to produce some 10,000 tons of fertilizer from 24,000 tons of waste per annum. The benefits are substantial: the elimination of the adverse health and environmental effects of the waste, much higher yields for local farmers, and the creation of jobs in this mostly rural area. In South Africa, the construction industry alone is responsible for some 23% of greenhouse gas emissions. Brick manufacturers are always looking for energy-saving methods to make their bricks, and the new vertical shaft brick kiln, VSBK, offered a green solution. VSBK technology gradually preheats the unfired bricks in a continuous process, significantly reducing the energy and emissions involved in the firing process. A modern kiln has been set up in Jeffreys Bay on South Africa's east coast.
The cost of coal, especially down on the coast, is extremely high in relation to the source from Gauteng And for that reason, it plays a very significant part in our cost percentage calculations. Another great advantage, obviously, is the fuel saving, which obviously is the bigger issue in the big picture in terms of climate mitigation, because we halving our fossil fuel use by more than 50%.
The South African Department of Energy is also lending their support to ACAD.
I think as government we need to put policies that will make any environment conducive for people to be able to invest in projects. And then we also need private sector to come in and support. We also need, I think, international organ to also build capacity where there's not enough capacity.
ACAD is helping entrepreneurs to realize green alternatives to the business-as-usual mindset across Africa. A better future is not only about reducing emissions, but also creating prosperity that can endure.